September 12th, 2008. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Vernon Hicks in Bartlesville, Oklahoma for the National Archives. Sir, where were you born?
Granville, New York.
Granville, New York.
Uh-huh.
When's your birthday?
2/20/35.
2/20/35. Who's your father?
Clifford W. Hicks.
And your mother?
Dorothy Hicks.
What was her maiden name?
Hall, Hall.
Hall. Did you go through school in Granville?
Yes.
You graduated from high school what year?
53. 'Cause I went into service in 54.
Okay. During World War II, did you help with the scrap metal drives or rubber drives?
Not so much that. My dad and I went out and we collected milkweed pods for chutes and stuff, parachutes, silk.
Okay. What'd you do with the silk?
What did I do with it?
Yeah, what were they used for?
Supposedly they were making parachutes and stuff with it.
Okay.
How they did it, I don't know.
Is that whenever the silk was cut off from?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
All I know is they had a big drive. Everybody in the area was after them.
Now, where's Granville located?
Trying to think the easiest way to say it. About 20 miles northeast of Glens Falls, New York, which is about 40 miles north of Albany, the capital.
Okay.
Right over next to the Vermont border.
What type of work did your father do?
He was a fruit farmer, primarily apple farm. Hicks Brothers Fruit Farm.
What chores did you do around the house, around the orchard?
Well, at that time we also had a dairy. The dairy was my responsibility. And then when I had free time from that, I helped them prune the trees, mow the fields. They kept the area all around the trees mowed and stuff like that.
How many cows you have in the dairy?
About 40.
40?
Yeah.
And what was the name of the dairy?
It was just wasn't no name for it. Just Hicks Brothers Fruit Farm.
Hicks Brothers Fruit Farm. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now,
They sold the dairy off when I went in the Air Force.
Okay. What'd you do on VJ Day when the war ended?
I don't know if we did anything.
Because you'd have been 10 years old.
Yeah. Grandpa's a big one for no time off or nothing.
Yeah. And is this your grandfather?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Charles T. Hicks.
Charles T. Hicks.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'd cut hay Friday, turn it Saturday, and get it in Sunday. Then you go on with the rest of your work during the week.
What type of tractor did you have?
Ford Ferguson's. We had 2 of those. And then we had a big I want to say C4. It's a Caterpillar tractor.
Okay.
They use it for hauling the big sprayer around, spraying the orchards.
Okay. How big was the farm?
The farm itself was, the whole lot, land and everything was 200 acres.
Okay.
Only about 100 of it was workable. The rest was woods.
Okay.
That's where we harvest our firewood for wintertime out of it.
Do you remember when the Korean War started?
Yeah, vaguely.
What do you think, when the Chinese came across the Yalu River and all this? What were you thinking about this?
I didn't think much of it. I probably didn't even understand what the hell was going on. I know when I came in the military, Korea was winding down.
Now, when did you join the Air Force?
June the 8th, 1954.
Now, why did you join the Air Force over the Army, or the Navy, or the Marines?
I loved airplanes.
Okay. Where'd you go for your basic training?
Shepherd, Air Force Base, Texas.
How'd you travel to Shepherd?
They flew us down from Albany. The recruiters did.
Okay. Tell me about your basic.
At that time, it was about 3 months long, and we caught everything there from classroom work to went out on bivouac for a week. We had the old gas mask, rip it off, and get tear gas in your eyes. You couldn't leave until you started to cry. They stood there and watched you, and then you get outside and they'd let you wash it out. We had firearms familiarization.
What rifle did you fire?
It's the old M1 carbine.
M1? Yeah, the M1
Not
carbine.
the rifle, but the carbine.
Okay. What's your most vivid memory of basic?
Probably when we were double timing to get to class, we were late, and I stepped in a chuck hole and sprained my ankle. Turned it. They had to help me to the infirmary. And they just x-rayed it, make sure it was all right, taped it up, and went on.
So where'd you go from Shepherd Field?
A bunch of us, they flew us straight to Shepherd. From Shepherd, where'd I
From
go?
Shepherd. Yes.
Okay. We went to England Air Force Base, Louisiana.
England?
Uh-huh.
Where's that located?
Right outside of Alexandria.
Okay.
Tech school, I went through 11 months of aircraft maintenance school on a B-36. And they were closing it out right behind us. And I never worked on it.
Now the B-36,
Yeah.
that a light bomber, heavy bomber?
That was a 10-engine bomber.
10-engine bomber.
6 recips and 4 jets.
Okay.
It was that big long flying cigar
Okay.
with the prop engines mounted in the back.
Yeah.
It was a pusher.
Now were they phasing that bomber out?
They were phasing the school out. They wasn't making any more mechanics.
Okay.
And there was an outfit, a KB-29 outfit at Louisiana. They needed to get beefed up because they were going overseas to England. So they sent us all there because, you know, heavy bomber, the same thing. Airframes all the same, just a little different engines. So they shipped us all right there.
So they shipped you to England.
They shipped us to England Air Force Base, Louisiana, to work on KB-29s.
Okay.
And then from there, they shipped us to Southampton, England.
Okay.
And from there, we went by bus up to, we went by boat over to there. And then by bus up to Sculthorpe, RAF station.
Okay. Now the KB-29, what is that?
That's in-flight refueler,
Okay.
air refueler.
Okay. So did you fly to England?
No, the whole squadron, the crew chiefs and the assistants flew with the airplane. And the ground crew and all the support and everything went over by a two-stacker ship,
What ship you get on?
Merchant Marine, USS Darby.
USS Darby. You left the States from what port?
It's someplace in New York, right there on the point that was. That's where we left out of by bus. Went to a wharf someplace there.
They're in New York City?
Yeah.
Okay. When you were leaving New York City going by the Statue of Liberty, what were you thinking?
I was amazed. I thought it was going to be a great, big, huge thing, but it wasn't huge.
Mm-hmm.
And I was amazed to see it was green because it was copper that oxidized.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing the old girl and I salute her when we went by.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about the trip across the Atlantic.
Being as how we went over as a squadron, they used us for guard duty throughout the ship. 24 hours a day for the whole time. They split it up into 3 shifts. And the first night out, I had guard duty way down in the back at the latrine, standing there. And we hit rough weather, storms. And the ship was rocking and rolling, and the back end would come up out of the water, and the screws would rev up, and then it'd drop back down, the ship would shudder. I never got so sick in all my life. I hugged that stool as much as I could all night long. And I was sick the rest of the time going over there. Once you get seasick, you stay that
Yeah.
way.
And the trip took how long?
I think it was 7 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
You landed at Southampton.
Yeah.
And they sent you to what RAF base?
Sculthorpe, RAF station.
How do you spell that?
SCULTHORPE.
And where's that located?
Let's see, I gotta stop and think. There's London. Here's Southampton. It's about halfway in between London and Southampton, but at an angle.
Okay, so about the southeast part of England?
Yeah.
Okay. So what'd you do there?
I was a crew member on a KB-29. Back in them days, we did all our own maintenance. Changed engines, electrical work, everything, tires, all that stuff.
And what was your job as an aircraft mechanic?
Well, I was about like the third wiper. When the airplane come back, we refueled it while the crew chief took the debriefing. And refueled it, oiled it up, serviced the oxygen, anything it needed. And because we hauled avgas for that airplane and JP4 for the jets that we in-flight refueled.
Now, how do you refuel in flight?
Well, KB-29 had a boom operator. He laid on his belly in the back. Over, he had a joystick, and he'd fly that boom around and extend it out almost all the way. And the plane was going to refuel, come up to him just as they got right up to it there. He just snapped the boom into the drogue, whatever they had. Sometimes they had a socket up over the cockpit in there. Other times they had a drogue out there flying around, like a funnel. And he'd plug it in there. And once he made good connections, he had lights that would tell him if he was connected or not. And he'd just shoot the gas to it.
Is it difficult to get those two hooked up while you're flying?
Sometimes. And sometimes it's not. Depends a lot on the weather.
Now, how many gallons of fuel can you carry in the KB-29?
I don't remember. Yes, I do too. They had two 5,000-gallon Bombay tanks. So every 10,000 gallons.
And how long would it take to refuel another aircraft?
Oh boy. Not very long, because they had terrific pumps on them. Depends if it was a fighter, maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
And back in them days, they had the B-66, which was an intermediate bomber. And we could take him off the tail and two fighters off the wingtips all at the same time. No, we couldn't. I'm getting mixed up. That was the KB-50 that I was on later. KB-29 just had the one boom. It was only serviced once at a time. Yeah.
Now, is there any danger of static electricity?
Oh yeah.
And how do you discharge the static electricity?
Well, before you get on the airplane, there's a ground wire. The aircraft is always grounded to plug in connections. The aircraft's always grounded. You just grab a hold of that before you even walk up to the airplane. Get rid of it.
Now, this is when you're in flight, refueling in flight.
Okay.
Did you have static electricity up there too?
I would imagine so. Because everything was, everything, I don't care what it was always grounded to the airplane itself, to the fuselage.
Now, how do you ground the two airplanes?
Through the boom.
To the boom?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So how long were you at Sculthorpe?
Year and a half.
Year and a half. What was the reaction of the British people towards you?
Well, I didn't get downtown that much. I only had one stripe, and had a wife back in the States, and I sent her most of my checks, so I didn't go downtown much. I go outside the base once in a while to have a beer with the guys, and then back to the base.
So where'd you go from Sculthorpe?
I went to Travis Air Force Base, California.
What'd you do there?
Worked on C-124s, cargo.
What'd you do on the C-124.
just a mechanic. I was on a swing shift, and we'd usually come in and pick up an airplane that had already been, any maintenance was, most of the time was already done. We had to take it to the pits and service it, and take it up in front of the terminal and park it in a spot. And air traffic, I guess, I don't know what they call themselves, but they'd come out and load it. Yeah, it'd be loaded with the loadmaster there, and he'd use the slipstick to keep the center of gravity equal.
Now, did you think, was there any danger of Korea boiling over into a hot war? You know, Russia, U.S., all that in these days, into a shooting war?
I'm sure it was, but I don't recall thinking much about it.
Okay.
Because when I went in, you know, it was over with, winding down.
And so, now where'd you go again from Sculthorpe? I'm sorry.
From Sculthorpe, I went to Travis Air Force
Travis,
Base, California.
Okay. How long were you at Travis?
Just a little over a year. And I got sent to Langley Air Force Base, Virginia, on KB-50s. It was a B-50 turned into an aerial refueler.
Okay.
And it had 3 hoses on it. This is the one that had like a giant fishing reel, one on the tail, one on each wingtip. It would feed the hose out, and then the plane would come up, make contact, and then come right up in and settle in behind the wing. And the reel, just like an automatic fishing reel, it would level wind that hose back up as it came. And when they got up there and everything was where they wanted, they'd just start pumping the fuel to them. And they'd back off one by one.
Could you refuel any U.S. or Allied airplane?
If they had the probe, this was
Okay.
strictly a probe.
Okay.
Or there had to be a probe because we had the drogues. The drogues was like the funnel. A funnel is just aluminum slats with cables around here, and around here, but you would let it fold out like that with nylon shrouds in between the slats, and that was just to keep the thing stabilized in the wind, drogue, because we had no control over the drogue. Get out there in a very bad turbulence, it would just whip all over the place.
So how long do you work on the KB-50?
I'm gonna say maybe maybe 4 years.
Okay. Now, KB is an acronym for what?
Okay. Your aircraft are identified by the first letter as they come off the assembly line or whatever they are. A is attack, B is bomber, C is cargo. I don't know what they get down to. F is fighter, F-16, that's a fighter. And then you take the basic airplane and you modify it, make whatever you want. But air refuelers are notified by a K.
Okay. Okay.
The KBs are refueling bombers,
Okay.
turned into refuelers. And that thing had Bombay tanks and a couple of skate tanks, they called them, in behind, inboard nacelles. And they had a centerline tank too that would hold 300 or 400 gallons.
Now, when were you sent to Langley?
I liked it.
No,
They
when?
re-
When did you go there?
Oh, what year?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I came back from overseas in '57. Went out to Travis for a year, so that'd be '58. Sometime in '58 I went there.
Okay. And how long were you at Langley?
Probably about 4 years.
Okay. The Cuban Missile Crisis.
Oh yeah,
Where were you?
right there at Langley. That happened. We all carried bags in our vehicles. We're available to go anywhere at any time on worldwide mobility. We all had all our shot records up to date. And a friend of mine wanted to go to Pennsylvania, but he had weekend alert. So I told him, go ahead, I'll take an alert for him. Well, they blew the whistle, and I went out to the base. They said, this ain't no drill, just grab your bag and head for your airplane. So I grabbed my bag, went out to the airplane. We had a little bit of trouble with the tailpipe, but they got that fixed on one of the jets. The B-50 had 2 jets, besides 4 recips. And it didn't delay us from going with the rest of the airplane, but like if we were supposed to go number 2, we were the last to go instead of number 2, whatever, something like that. Anyways, and I left out of there, and I don't know how many days later it was I got home. Something like 60 days or something like that. Wife didn't know where I was.
Where were you?
Down in Florida, Fort Myers. There was a SAC base down there, and SAC had left and went someplace else, and we moved in with our tankers and took over their alert facilities. They had B-47s at that time. Not us, SAC did. And they flew them out to someplace else, and we moved in there. It was just right for us. And being as we were tankers, we had all kinds of fuel for ourselves. So when we got ready to land, the Air Force was bringing in fighters from all over the country. Little F-84s. Everyone was declaring a fuel emergency. They had to land first. They declared a fuel emergency. We sit up there out away from the base, just flying in orbit for about 3 hours. Then finally they heard it, let us come in and land. That's the way it was.
What ended the Cuban Missile Crisis?
What ended it? I guess when Kennedy put his foot down, told him, get the missiles back out of there, or they're going to blow the ships out there.
Why did Russia back down?
I don't know. Probably they didn't want to confront confrontation. For one thing, they're all there. If it had been trouble, the trouble was in our area, not theirs. They'd have had a logistics problem. That'd be the only thing I could see. I mean, sure, they had long-range bombers, but they'd have to come a long way, and we'd see them coming.
Oh, yeah. So what did you do after the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Okay, then next assignment was Stewart Air Force Base, New York. That's outside of Newburgh. And I worked in aircraft records for 6 months, and then I worked as a crew chief, flight mechanic loadmaster on a C-123. Had one airplane only, and that was my responsibility.
Now, what does the loadmaster do?
He loads the freight. He doesn't physically actually have to load all the freight himself. There's people there to load it, but he has to be there with a slipstick, make sure so much weight here, 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 and here, so that by the time the aircraft gets ready to land, the fuel is gone, and he's sitting like this or something.
Center of gravity.
Yep, center of gravity. Got to maintain that. And in flight, I had to watch the engines, their gauges, and everything else to see what was going on. Keep track out the window. All kinds of stuff there. We would haul anything and everything for ADC. It was Air Defense Command then.
Air Defense Command is based where?
I don't know where. There's no longer any more Air Defense Command.
Okay. What was the purpose of the Air Defense Command? Was it kind of like SAC?
Yeah. Yeah, they had the fighters.
Okay.
They controlled, like on the coast, New York, on the coast there. We had fighters there, Stuart, and wherever. And we would haul, fighter outfit there at Stuart, went down to Langley for a week-long exercise. So we hauled them down there. There was three of us, three or four airplanes. We hauled their crew chiefs and their toolboxes, their power units. We hauled their big power units, just load them right in the aircraft and everything, and took them down there. And we had to stay there the whole time. So the Air Force put us maintenance types on there. cargo planes, putting us up downtown in a motel right on the beach. We'd go out each morning, and we'd call the base for a vehicle, and they'd come and get us, and we'd go out to airplanes and pre-flight them, make sure they're all right. No leaks, nothing broken or anything. And once they're checked out, then we'd close up and go back to the motel.
And how long were you at Stewart Air Force Base?
At Stewart, I was there about 1 year.
And what'd you do?
I gotta stop and think. From Stewart, where did I go from Stewart? Oh, I went to Vietnam, 1964.
1964.
Yeah, something like September.
Now that's, were you considered one of the advisors?
No. I went to Tyndall Air Force Base first for school, and then I went over to Vietnam on A1E. This is towards the first beginning. We were the first batch of trained mechanics going over there on the A1E. A1E is the airplane we got from the Navy.
Now where were you based in Vietnam?
Benoit.
Benoit.
That was a good little airplane.
What'd you do at Benoit?
I was a flight chief on swing shift. There's 4 of us. 2 of us had the fighter bombers that were active, and the other 2 staff sergeants had, they each had a flight of aircraft that weren't used for bombers, fighter bombers. They used for training Vietnamese pilots. And any aircraft that comes back and had guns out, damaged or something, they had no guns to put back in them or anything that was wrong with it. It could still fly, but it couldn't perform an attack bomb mission. They'd put it back as a trainer, and we'd take one of theirs that was ready to go, and we just kept working that way. I had 12 airplanes. Another staff sergeant had 12 airplanes. And these 2 guys in the back, they each had 13 apiece.
Now when was the Gulf of Tonkin incident? Was that in 64?
I'm thinking it was before I went over there. Yeah.
Whenever you heard about the Gulf of Tonkin, what were you thinking?
If I remember right, I was thinking that I don't know why that guy surrendered. We should have just went in there and helped him.
Who's this?
The United States. That one Pueblo, was it? Tonkin?
Pueblo. Now
Yeah.
that's later on.
Oh,
Now the Gulf of Tonkin is when the North Vietnamese attacked our ships and in the Gulf of Tonkin off Vietnam. That's going to be about the same time because I was in Vietnam when the Pueblo was captured. That was 67, 68.
Okay.
That was later on.
okay.
The Gulf of Tonkin is really what started Vietnam rolling. Okay. What was the reaction of the Vietnamese people to the Americans?
The ones that I met was real friendly. Glad we were there. Yeah.
Now, was the NVA and the VC, were they pretty well organized at that time?
I would say so. Yeah.
You know, Benoit is located where in South Vietnam?
About 20 miles north of Saigon.
Okay.
Not very far.
What type of quarters did you have at Benoit?
Quonset huts.
Quonset huts.
Yeah.
You have bunkers?
Well, wait. No, they weren't. We didn't have Quonset huts. The Vietnamese had Quonset huts. We had, it's just a wooden framework, and you could raise the wooden louvered sides up to let air circulate through, and it was like screen wire, open-sided screen wire. Wooden huts. They slept 4, 8, 9. Slept about 10 of us.
Yeah, we had those at Ankh. We call them pooches.
Yeah.
And we had sandbags stacked up around. Of course, I was there later.
Yeah, we did after we got bombed, or mortared, rather.
Tell me about your first time you were mortared.
Ah, it was payday night. Half the troops was back drunk, sacked out, and they threw us one hell of a Halloween party. It was Halloween night.
Of 64.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you what day it was, because whatever Halloween was that day, it was Halloween night that this happened. And they just lobbed mortars in all over the place. But somebody had been in there walking and measuring, because they sent some in on the huts. Finally found a mark in the range, and then they just walked them right on through. They missed ours. They missed their police next door. You got a bunch of them. We got it 3 times. So, no, twice. The middle time was when nobody knows for sure what happened. Whether it was sabotage or whether it was an armament troop that screwed up with one of the bombs, or they were loading B-57s with the old Martin Canberra twin-engine jet. They're using shotgun starters on them to start the jet engines. And we had a big wave going on. There was 4 taking off, 4 waiting to go, 4 taxiing down, 4 more getting ready. And something happened, man. It kaboom, everything went. I was at the other end of the flight line. But my personal airplane, the one that had my name on the forms, was down there tied down. Engine shop had it down there tied down because they had to make a max power run. And if you did that on that little airplane, she would just nose right over. You got to chain the tail down, and you can shove it up the power and check it out. And the engine troops was just a little ways from where the first one went off, and they just jumped in the ditch right behind it, the drainage ditch. They jumped in the drainage ditch and beat it back towards the main ramp. And it was all over and done with. My airplane got a hunk of metal the size of this table.
How many airplanes were destroyed?
Oh, I don't know for sure.
All those that were on the runway, were they all destroyed?
They were shredded some.
Because you said there was some taxiing getting ready to take off.
The ones at the far end of the runway were all right, and the ones that was in the air was all right. The one that was taxiing, the B-57s were, say, like at this end, in this area. They'd come out of here, right down to the runway, and then go. Or taxiway and go down there and then take off this way, whichever way they had to go. This particular day, they were taking off from this end. So they come out of here taxiing. And when this one blew here, they all blew. What they're doing, they had 1,000-pound bombs stacked up underneath the wings, getting ready for a mass upload. And after they loaded them, armored troops were putting in what they call nasty fuses, anti-withdrawal time delay. You screw them in, fine. You screw it back 1/4 turn, it goes kaboom. If you make a mistake, got a cross it or something, you cannot turn that sucker backwards. You take the bomb off, take it out and destroy it. And their time delay, so that when they dropped them, they didn't go off right then. They might go off when they hit. They might go off half hour later. It might go off 15 minutes. The Vietnamese never knew, or the Viet Cong.
And you said those bombs exploded on the runway?
Yeah.
They were hit?
Yep. They had, I don't know how many B-57s there. They had a pile of them. Most of them were destroyed. And my airplane was down there. It was destroyed. And we kept our 4 alert birds down there. They were destroyed. They were fully loaded, all cocked, ready to go. All I had to do was just jump in, start them, and leave.
Now, you were assigned to what unit over there in Vietnam?
34th Air Base Group, 34th Cameron, Consolidated Maintenance Squadron.
34th?
Cameron, Consolidated Aircraft Maintenance Squadron.
Solid. Consolidated Aircraft Maintenance?
Squadron, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Who was your commanding officer?
Over there, I have no idea.
Okay.
No. me and my assistant, they called for it. They wanted volunteers to take 6 airplanes north to Da Nang. So me and my assistant volunteered, and 2 armament troops volunteered. So we piled in there and we left, went up there, and we met up. General Key, the Vietnamese commanding general, came in there. He was flying an A-1E like we had, but his pilots had A-1Hs, single-seat fighters. Same aircraft, just single-seat. Ours was dual-seat, side-by-side for training. And then some 105s came in, and there was 100s that came in. Everything came in 6s. Come to find out, it was the first airstrike into North Vietnam. We went into Hanoi rail yards, bridges, everything they could find there. So we launched. Me and my crew chief went down. General Key sent word up through maintenance control. He wanted us to come down and check his plane out and make sure it was all right. His troops didn't know about A-1Es, 2-seaters. So we went down there and checked his out, and it was all right. Serviced it, fueled it. And then we called maintenance control, which is our controlling point. Told them it was ready. So we went back to take care of our own, because we had ours all refueled and oiled and everything. The armament troops helped us do that. And by that time, the bombs had arrived, so we helped them load bombs, fuse them up and everything. And by that time, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. And 6 o'clock, here come the pilots out. And the colonel, he was the lead pilot, I guess you call him. He was in charge. He lined the pilots up, called me over, told me, take off your hat, Sarge, so I did. He said, all right, said, you guys file by him one by one, drop everything in except your ID cards. And they carried a chip, too, with them that guaranteed if they had to bail out and a friendly Vietnamese found out if they could get them to safety, the shit was worth $100 or something like that. They carried that in their ID card, all they're supposed to take. I had to watch all that stuff while they were going.
When was that?
February 7th, 65. I'll never forget that day. Anyways, they went out and they all came back. And then we gassed up, turned around, and headed out for home that night. We kept getting a delay. They didn't get to take off right away. They kept getting a delay for fog over the area where they were going. We had to wait till that looked like it was clearing, then they finally went. But the A-1Hs left, and then our A-1Es left, and about 10 minutes later, the F-100s left. Then a half hour later, the 105s left. They were so fast, they didn't have to take time there. And they got, I guess they got the bridges and stuff. The pilots was all happy when they came back. But that was a funny war. When I first went there, we were flying underneath the Vietnamese flag on our airplanes. And our pilots all had to have a NCOIC, or an NCO, Vietnamese VNAF, Vietnamese Air Force, a VNAF sergeant in the right seat. And if that sergeant told them not to go in a certain area, they couldn't go there. There was one machine gun nest that was a thorn in our sides. And our pilots were going to go get it. And these Vietnamese sergeants said, no, you don't fly there. No, don't go over there. They didn't want to get shot at. Bastards.
How long were you in Vietnam?
1 year.
1 year. What's your most vivid memory of Vietnam?
I gotta say, it was a night that we worked all night long, turning airplanes around, sending them right back out. If they had a bullet hole or something in them that wasn't a hazard or safety of flight at them. If it was just a hole through the wing and that's all it was, just sheet metal. I mean, no gas tanks, no lines punctured, nothing. We just slapped aluminum foil tape over it and let them go. Just kept turning around and sending them out. We had a Vietnamese friendly village under attack. And one of our bird dogs was flying in and out of there. He just called on the radio they was under attack. So old Puff the Magic Dragon back then was a goonie bird, a flares. And supply people or squadron clerks would volunteer to go out and kick flares out. And he just flew around in an orbit all night long out there, just kicking flares out, keep the area lit up. And our guys would come in and strafe and bomb the outlying areas away from that village. And towards morning, the Viet Cong broke the attack off and left. So we saved that village that night.
What kind of aircraft was Puff Magic Dragon?
An old C-47.
C-47. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you were leaving Vietnam, what were you thinking?
I was thinking it was the first assignment where all my training and all my work, I could see some benefits from it. I could see where we'd done some good. Because all the rest of my time was just training, back here in the States. But that was...
Why were we in Vietnam?
Why were we? Well, to prevent what happened, I guess. North Vietnamese took it over. They come in and they didn't care about their own people. If they needed them, they took them. They'd just yank them up and make them soldiers out of them or whatever.
So when you left Vietnam, where'd you go?
Okay, I went from there to Plattsburgh Air Force Base.
Where?
Plattsburgh.
Where's that?
Northeastern New York. The town of Plattsburgh. Let's see. I was trying to think. It's not very far from the Canadian border. Maybe 30 miles south, something like that.
What'd you do there?
Okay, I worked transit maintenance there.
I'm sorry?
I worked what they called, Air Force calls transit maintenance.
Okay.
We had, our squadron had no assigned airplanes. We handled airplanes that come in from other bases for anything, you know. There was a air cargo outfit that was flying a courier. They were flying cargo in, take cargo out. We meet them when they landed, lead them in. We had follow me trucks lit up, say follow me. We lead them in and park them and call gas for them. And they gassed themselves up. And supply was out there. They pulled the cargo out the front. And the other, more supply people was in the back, just loading cargo in the back, kept pushing it through. They were on the ground and out in less than 30 minutes. And any other airplanes that was coming in for anything, T-birds would come in, little T-33s for something. One time we had a B-52 land there because everything else on the coast was fogged in. We were open. They were out of Maine, but all their bases was fogged in. So we landed there. It was the middle of winter. And we parked them out there, and they had to have air police front and rear. There's the guards, SAC airplane. You don't know what the hell they had on it, but you can guess. And we had, it was a B-47 base, and they were phasing them out, so they were running the pilots through, getting them all qualified, getting all their time in. They'd go up and make what they call touch and go landing, come in, touch, take off again. They'd do 5 of them, and on the last one, they'd pop their drag chute. And then when they got off to the end of the runway, onto the parking apron there, before they took the taxiway, they'd cock their butt to the grass and disconnect the chute. And jet stream or jet blast would just knock it off into the grass there. Well, after it left, we had to go and roll that up, throw them in the airplane, or throw them in the truck. And we get about 4 of them in there, and then we have to go to the tower, fabric shop, the parachute tower. We'd drop them off there, then go back, get some more.
What were those chutes used for after they were
Oh, when they're dropped,
Yeah.
they were taken in, inspected, hung up and dried, and refolded and repacked and shoved back in the next airplane.
How long were you in the Air Force?
22 years, 2 months, 22 days.
Did you go back to Vietnam?
Nope. Now, I would have been sent back 2 or 3 times, but I ended up with 2 controlled tours.
To what?
2 controlled tours.
What's a control tour?
Okay, once they grab you, you're there for the duration. Nobody can get you. Okay, I was taken, assigned to Washington National Airport in D.C. and can't think of the little detachment. But we were a detachment for the 89th Special Air Missions, SAM outfit.
A SAM outfit.
Well, but it's not SAM like in SAM missiles.
Oh, okay.
SAM is just short for Special Air Missions.
Okay.
It was the home of Air Force One and all the special aircraft, like Air Force One, Air Force Two, Little Air Force One, and
What's Little Air Force One?
okay, that's the one that. Well, in my case, when Johnson was there, his daughters used it. They flew them around, just like a King Air. And we had a squadron of VC-140s, little executive jet, almost like a Learjet. There are 4 little engines, 2 on each side of the tail. And we had a squadron of those, and we had 2. They closed the detachment down after I was there for like a year and a half. And we all went, there was probably 30 of us, maybe all total. We were at National Airport to catch Air Force airplanes that came in there. And at that time, the Vice President, Humphreys, liked Air Force One, or Washington National Airport. He didn't want to go to Andrews. So the flight crew would fly in there, we'd park them, service them if they needed it. And Humphreys would load out of there, go down wherever he was going, and he'd come back into there. And a lot of senators and congressmen liked that. So it was more or less, it was all VIPs.
Yeah.
So we took care of that. And then they closed it down and took us over there, and they put us in inspection docks for these VC-140s. After so many hours, they got to be like opened up, everything inspected, and anything's loose or tightened or whatever, repaired, replaced. Any minor leaks, and I'd be fixed them up. And I got involved in that after I was over there for a little bit. They started up a program of taking these 140s one at a time and gutting them and redoing the whole insides. Well, at that time, they wanted a crew chief or a maintenance person from the docks over there to go through with the airplane, to go through the system. They wanted a maintenance person there with it, because these are all like sheet metal people and everything else doing there. And so they went through one at a time. I think on the second airplane, they had a bad experience with the guy that was the maintenance guy there, and he wasn't doing the job. He was just sloughing off. So they said on the next one they wanted somebody else. They didn't want him back. So they asked me to go over, so I went over there. I liked it. You do anything and everything to the airplane, helping them, helping other people, tear out the floor and everything, put all new stuff in, new tracks, new seats, new tables. That squadron, we had our own carpenter shop. The only squadron in the Air Force, our own carpenter shop right there, usually carpenter shop base support. But we had it right there in the hangar. And they get anything they wanted because they were all for the VIP airplanes.
How long were you there at Washington National Airport?
5 years.
5 years.
It was a controlled tour of 4 years. And they extended me because I was knowledgeable enough about that airplane. They didn't want to change anybody else and break them in. Because during that time, when the aircraft's up on jacks and everything, stabilized so they could do all their work. certain airplanes would do certain inspections at that time. So besides helping them, I was doing my own job on the airplane. And on one of them, I had to tear the main landing gear out. I'd never done that. Nobody else had ever done it either. But I got the tech order out. I went through it step by step. Got everything ready, and a couple of people, maintenance men, come over from the docks to help me. We just lifted it up, twisted it, cocked it, and dropped the gear right out. That wasn't so bad. Then they sent them out to be what they call shot peened. They blow a little, they strip the paint off, then they blow little ball bearings at it to see what happens to it, whether it cracks or toughens it up like it's supposed to. And then they bring it back, smooth it out, paint it up, and we stick it back in. And then it's good for another, I don't know, 25 years or more. But it was things like that. It was real interesting, the whole thing.
When did you get your discharge?
September 76.
September 76.
Yep. After that assignment to Washington National at Andrews there, then I went from there to Iceland for 2 years. That was a controlled tour.
Why, Reykjavik?
No, Keflavik. Out on the peninsula out there, where that wind would blow.
When did you go to Iceland?
72,
72.
74. And I was on Super Connies then. East, they called them, it was a C-121.
Super Connies.
Yeah, Constellations.
Okay.
There was EC 121. They were Snoopy airplanes. They had radars all over that thing. They had the height finder on top, the weather out front, and depth radar on the belly, search radar on the belly, search. And they got up there because there used to be a radar station on the island. There was 3 of them. On this particular point where we were, hurricane blew it off one night. And they had nothing out there to warn them when the Russian planes was coming by. Russia likes to play games to come down between Iceland and Greenland. Go down to Cuba. Well, lots of times they come up, peek over the horizon, and our radar would pick them up, and then they go back down. You don't know where they're going. They come down through here or going off someplace else. Now, anyways, they stuck a Navy ship out there in the ocean for a while. They'll decide what to do, and that wasn't too good. So they brought these 3 of these airplanes up, and they had 3 airplanes. One would fly a mission that morning. They'd be out there most of the day, carried an 18-man flight crew, but most of them was radar observers. And we had one that was be brought up on alert, get it ready. And one we were working on. We just kept rotating those 3 airplanes over and over and over. Come back at night, we'd have to fix it up, service it up, and get it back in, get it ready. And then in the morning, that aircraft that was on alert had better fly that next day. And then one we worked on was be on alert, and then we'd work on the one that came back.
Where were you? Where's your final base? Where you were discharged?
Okay, I went from there to Rickenbacker Air Force Base in Ohio, just south of Columbus, a couple of miles. But that's closed now.
Okay.
Yep.
What'd you do after the Air Force?
Okay, I came here, and I worked for Goodwin Construction at that time for about...
Why'd you come to Bartlesville?
Huh?
Why'd you come to Bartlesville?
Why?
Yeah.
Because I brought my daughter down to look over at college. My brother-in-law was working out at the college at that time as maintenance superintendent. And so I stayed at his place, and my daughter stayed on campus. It was during senior days out there. She stayed on campus with a bunch of girls. And brother-in-law took me fishing. And wherever we went, people stopped to talk to you. Not afraid to talk to you. If you wanted to ask somebody a question or something, they'd gladly stop and talk to you. Friendliest people I ever met. When I got ready to retire, I came to Oklahoma. Back home and where I was, Granville, New York, there was nothing. Population was about 3,000 or 4,000. Nothing there. So.
So you work for construction down here?
Yeah, I worked for Goodwin Construction, but it went bankrupt a few years after. I worked there for about 4 years and then left, and went into the oil field. No, I went to Red Pump. I went to Red Pump for 2 years. They had that China contract back in, and then I got laid off. So then I worked at in the oil field for a guy, running around each morning checking the pump jacks. And big outfit from Texas turned him over to somebody else, and the guy that was my boss, they took him to Texas, and they gave me an extra month's pay and let me go. And then I went I called back from Rita Pump for 2 months. They thought they had a big parts order from China, but it didn't materialize, and I got laid off again. Then I went to work part-time for Walmart in the automotive section, and that was fun. And then I got out here at back in at Wesleyan College in the maintenance department, and I worked there for 14 years and then retired from there, and that was it.
Would you join the Air Force again?
In a heartbeat. Of course, it's a different setup now than what it was when I went in. My son's in the Air Force. He's getting ready to retire another year. His daughter's in the Air Force. She's been in 2 years. His son is police officer in the Hampton Police Department there, where he's stationed at Langley. And his youngest daughter, she's a second-year student at VIT, where they had that massacre a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's the Air Force ROTC there. But anyways, the daughter has been in 2 years. She was in munitions. And she got sent over to, she went through schools and everything. She got sent to England on F-15s. And she met up one of the crew chiefs over there. She met him, she got to liking him. And a year later, they were married. Now, right now, they're both over in Okinawa together. Same. But I started to tell you, it's a different situation now. Now, when you come in, they make you sign up for one aircraft, and you're on that one aircraft. You look at the aircraft I've been on.
I'd like to do a word association. I'm going to give you some words, and you give me your reaction.
Let me get a drink here.
Okay. First one is Harry Truman.
Harry Truman. Most thing I can think about him is he stopped MacArthur from going north into North Korea. Finishing the job. He stopped.
What'd you think about that?
I thought MacArthur got ripped off. Bad. Slapped down.
Dwight Eisenhower.
I liked him.
Basic training.
Who?
Basic training.
Basic training. I enjoyed it. Now you stop and look back at it. At the time, it was a little rough because I was just an old farm boy. I didn't know what the hell was going on. But I can look back at it, and I learned a lot out of basic.
USS Darby.
Merchant Marine two-stacker. Sick for a week.
KB-29.
Good airplane.
KB-50.
That could be a nightmare sometimes.
Fidel Castro.
Dictator.
John F. Kennedy.
All-American hero.
Cuban Missile Crisis.
Necessary. Oh. Situation.
Nikita Khrushchev.
Blowhard.
Loadmaster.
Loadmaster?
Mhm.
That's a thankless job. The guys that do it nowadays, unless you're involved in it, you don't know the pressure and the stuff they are under, what they have to do.
Benoit.
Benoit. That was a good duty assignment.
Ho Chi Minh.
Ho Chi Minh, Ho Chi Minh. When you say Ho Chi Minh, what comes to mind is not the person, but the trail. Because the trail was not a trail as such. It was just a pathway that might deviate here one day and over someplace else the next day. It wasn't a set trail that you could bomb and go out and strafe and everything. You never knew where it was going to be. Ho Chi Minh, the man, I don't know. I'd say ruthless, maybe.
Lyndon Johnson.
Well, I could say something, but I don't think he'd print it.
Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Asshole. I can tell you stuff about him. When he was president on Air Force One, they'd go out on a trip and come back, he'd be still stinking drunk. He'd be laying down in the aisleway. He'd kick his flight sergeant around, which was his mess steward. I mean, physically kick him because he wouldn't get him something fast enough. He was mean.
Richard Nixon.
A sorry individual.
United States Air Force.
Well, I found a home in it. I really enjoyed my 22 years. It's not as good as some for making rank and so on, but I think it's more stable. You can make rank real fast in the Army and Marines. You just keep your nose clean, you know. Do your job. Air Force, you got to continually push, push, push.
How do you want to be remembered?
How do I want to be remembered? Never thought about that. Probably as someone who cared for his family and his country, even though he wasn't with his family all the time.
Well, sir, this is an excellent interview.
Well, thank you.
I want to thank you for your service and thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
And again, this is September 12th, 2008. My name is Joe Todd. This has been an interview with Vernon Hicks from the National Archives. We're in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Thank you.
You're welcome.